morning, guys. What's up? It's kind of chilly out there today. It's like 60 degrees. I'm going up to Chicago right now, and it's cold with the wind. It's windy as freaking nuts out there. So yeah, blowing me all around on the road out here and everything. But anyways, guys, what's going on? Yeah, we're starting the video out like this, I guess. Kind of a weird way, I reckon. But I want to thank everybody out there for all the supportive comments on my last video. It meant a lot to me. It really did. And I appreciate all the viewers. Appreciate everybody that watched it, didn't comment. I just appreciate y'all. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and get on up the road. Get this load delivered.
You thought that wouldn't come around to you, round to you. You know I was down for you, down for you. Now I'm wishing that I never bowed to you, bowed to you. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud, I hate the sound of all these songs about you, songs about you. You know I was wrong about you, wrong about you. Let you hold on to this cash, let you hold on to. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud of it. I'm running out of time to hold you close, running out of time to be your man. I'm just lost in this moment. I've been zoning. I'm running out of time to hold you down, running out of time to be your man. I'm just lost in this moment. I've been zoning. I've been zoning. Come around to you, round to you. You know I was down for you, down for you. Now I'm wishing that I never bowed to you, bowed to you. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud to hate the sound of all these songs about you, songs about you. You know I was wrong about you, wrong about you. Let you hold on to this cash, let you hold on to. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud of. I'm running out of time to hold you close, running out of time to be your man. I'm just lost in this moment. I've been zoning. I'm running out of time to hold you down. Don't got the time to be.
What's up, guys? We're home. Or at least we're in the Jeep anyway. I kind of figured this video could be a sort of farewell video to the 579 Peterbilt. This is a video I already had made, but I figured I'd go ahead and add this monologue to it, and it's gonna be, like I said, a farewell, bid adieu kind of thing to the 579 that I secretly called Levi Jr. Like I said, I made this video, what's about to follow, I made it just days before the engine blew up. So it's the last active video of that truck. It's kind of sad. I got the top down, so I don't know if the wind's going to be real bad or not. But anyways, as I said earlier, I really appreciate y'all. I really appreciate all the comments, all the support. It meant a lot to me. So with that said, guys, thanks again for watching the videos, and Hope you enjoy the final voyage of Levi Jr. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you what, this video right here is going to be talking about, well, since the last video was made, the remainder of that week after that nightmare load, when I thought the week couldn't get any worse, it just kept getting worse and worse. It seemed like everything possible that could happen, logistically speaking, happened. So we'll get into all that. And it was a nightmare. It was a bad week. What can I say? The worst week I've had out here on the road since I got my authority. And it was just, yeah, it was nuts. And really, there's only one major thing that happened after that one, after the incident with that load, but just other little things that just piled up. You know how that goes. And then the following week after that, I got a check engine light on the truck here that I had to deal with, and I was going to make a video on how to repair what the check engine light was for, but it happened, and I needed to go ahead and just fix it. I was heading to pick up a load, and I got the code, and it was followed by a D-rate code, so I had to stop by a dealership, throw the part on there, take the old part off, throw the old part on, and get all that done myself before I was late for the pickup, so I didn't have time to record. But I'll get into all that, and I'll show you. I'll get under the truck and show you exactly what part I replaced, and show you exactly how I did it and what I did to replace it. Just so you guys know, the part was the DPF pressure sensor right there on the back of the DPF filter, diesel particulate filter. Sort of like saying VIN number, right? The VIN number, vehicle identification number, or things like that. People online have hissy fits over things like that when you say, it's redundant. It's the the redundancy aspect of it, I guess. When you say VIN number, or like I said, DPF filter. It's not a DPF filter. It's a diesel particulate filter. So anyway, we'll get into all that. None of you guys are gonna, it is what it is. But yeah, right now I'm getting loaded or unloaded, and then I gotta go get loaded. But that's what's going on. Gonna pull on out of here and do our paperwork real quick and get on the road. Just got unloaded here up in Lyons Falls, New York. Pretty cool little village here. Got to go back here and get our doors shut too. Here at Toth Industries in Lyons Falls, New York. Been here a few times. Nice little single dock warehouse that gets you in and out pretty quick. Oh yeah, looks decent. Cool. All right, we got all our paperwork submitted. It's all turned into my factoring company. Now my next load doesn't pick up until tonight, so I'm gonna go seek out a truck stop somewhere close to there. and get some much needed rest. All my bills situated. Alright. Let me telling you what, it's been a long week, man. Long week, just been tired. It's just been a week. That's about all there is to it. All you can say. Alright. Coming out of there. Yeah, like I said, this is the village of Lyons Falls, New York. We're about like 30 miles north of Rome, New York, if you guys are familiar with that area. Some of the most beautiful parts of the country are up here. Last time I came up here, it was not too long after they had a big snow, and I mean, I'll tell you what, the snow piles were enormous. Okay, this load, brought it up here, the load I brought up, it was kind of a messed up load too, but it was kind of weird. They canceled the load after I checked in. Well, the broker called me and said the load was canceled because half the shipment wasn't ready and wasn't going to be ready until April. And so they were going to give me a tow new. But then the customer decided instead of giving me a tow new, they wanted me to go ahead and just bring it on up here. What was available, so they put me back on it. They called me and the broker was like, are you still available? I'm like, yeah, I haven't found anything yet. He's like, well, do you want this load back? I'm like, yeah. Wouldn't, it said it'd make my life a little bit easier because I had a load booked for after this one already. So he gave, thankfully I hadn't canceled that load yet. So he gave me this load back, and here we are. But anyway, let's head on down there. The next pickup, or at least the truck stop nearby.
You thought that wouldn't come around to you, round to you. You know I was down for you, down for you. Now I'm wishing that I never bowed to you, bowed to you. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud, I hate the sound of all these songs about you, songs about you. You know I was wrong about you, wrong about you. Let you hold on to this cash, let you hold on to. I'm in this shit I can't get out of. I ain't proud of it. I'm running out of time to hold you close, running out of time to be your man. I'm just lost in this moment. I've been zoning. I'm running out of time to hold you down, running out of time to be your man. I'm just lost in this moment.
real quick before we get too much into the video, I'm going to go ahead and get under the truck and bring you guys with me. And I'm going to show you exactly what part went bad and how you replace that part. That way, if anybody actually is coming to this video just to learn how to fix this part, they won't have to sift through the whole video. But the part, as I already mentioned, is the DPF pressure sensor. Very easy part to access, at least on a 2020 Peterbilt 579, and relatively inexpensive. I'll get into all that more here in a minute, but let me go ahead and we'll get under the truck and I'll show that to you. All right, guys, of course, you know what? Let me shut my APU off. It's a little loud. Hang on. All right, let's try that again. I was about to complain about the wind, but it wasn't the wind making the noise, it was the APU. Anyway, unless you're a really big boy, you really don't even need to take the side fairing off to get under the truck on this truck to access it. So let's get under there real quick and I'll show it to you. All right, so just for reference sake, as you can tell, there is the front of the truck. You can see the front axle, the oil pan, leaf spring, all that good stuff. And you pan around here to the passenger side. Up on the top side of the DPF, you got that little black sensor right there that I just zoomed in on. Like I said, it's very simple to get out. Right now everything's cooled off. I had to do this while the damn thing was still piping hot. That was fun. You got it 8mm, you got two 8mm bolts. That'll focus. You got two 8mm bolts. You got the inlet and the outlet hose here that you gotta take off up here. And by doing that, you see there's those gray tabs. You squeeze it on those gray tabs and then you pull. You kind of got to wiggle them, they're a little tough. And then you've got the electrical connector, the pigtail up here. This gray tab right here, you got to push that up so that this part is flush with the black, basically. And then there's a little lever here that you squeeze in and then pull it right off. And that's really all there is to it. As far as taking it off, and then of course you put it all back on in the reverse order. And pretty simple. Like I said, I did it just outside the Peterbilt dealership in about 15 minutes. You do want to be careful though with these bolts, these 8mm bolts. They will break sometimes. Sometimes they break on. They didn't break on me, luckily, but they kind of felt like they could have. They had some resistance. But anyways, let's get back out from under here because I'm cold. Take a little look around the truck while we're down here. She's clean, man. Bottom of this thing is dry. Yep. Woo, it is chilly down here in this. Forgot my hat out there. Hang on. 1 second. Can't go without my hat. I also had to... Well, I noticed I had some exhaust leaking out of my doser valve back there by my DPF. And I noticed that while I was doing a regen. And my cousin, he told me, you know, my cousin was a tech at the Peterbilt dealer in Cincinnati where I bought this truck. And now he works up in Alaska, I think in Fairbanks. But anyways, so I was talking to him about it, and he said, like, it was weird. Every time I was down under my truck while the truck was doing a regen, every time you would hear a ticking noise, which is the pulsating of that doser valve, you know, dosing DEF in. Every time you hear that tick, there would be a plume of exhaust. That would come out of that area at the exact same time. And, you know, just perfectly in sync with that tick. And I told him about it, and he said, yeah, you probably need the exhaust gasket that goes around that doser valve area, which is this piece right here. And, yeah, it's that piece right there. So I went ahead and got that piece. I haven't put it on yet. I didn't really need to at that time. I was just trying to get that sensor replaced. I was in a hurry. But anyways, so he said, well, you know, while you're in there kind of deal, there is a little isolator ring called a thermal isolator. And I guess it goes maybe around the not the injector. I mean, that's not what it's called necessarily, but the doser. And so he suggested I go ahead and buy the ring too, which is the first thing I was just showing you. It was this thing right here, literally the size of my wedding ring. Literally the size of my wedding ring. This is why you don't buy a Peterbilt. Guess how much that little wedding ring sized thing costs? I'll give you a second. $50 for that little ring, for that little tiny ring. I mean, granted, my wedding band was a lot more expensive than that, so that may have been a poor comparison. But what I'm saying is that, you know, as far as a mechanical device goes, that little ring was $50. And then the gasket, the flat gasket that was like could fit in the palm of your hand, that was $67. Absurd. And it's just, it's absurd. It's absurd. And then the brokers want to push the loads for the kind of crap that they're pushing it for. It's just unbelievable. And the sensor itself was only $150. That was the cheapest sensor I've ever bought for this truck. I was expecting way more. And at first it was going to be more, not much more, but 50 more. But they gave me the wrong sensor. So the correct sensor was only $150. So that was a plus. So, you know, like I said, this little thing right here, $50 for that. I mean, here's my wedding band. In fact, my wedding ring has gone down in size over the last couple of years since I lost all the weight. Here's my wedding band. This, granted, it's quite a bit more expensive than $50, but here's the wedding band. Here's the isolator ring. I mean, it's not even heavy enough to slide to the bottom of the damn package. There we go. Look at that. Yep, it is literally the size of my wedding band. I mean, come on, man. Look at that. Look at that. I could just buy one of these from the dealership and put it on my freaking wedding finger. I'm not even taking it out of the package. This thing's worth too much money. I don't want to lose it. It's like damn jewelry. So, yeah, so that was $50. And then, yeah, like I said, this right here was $67. Unbelievable, man. Just. So we got those parts. Like I said, the sensor is $150. And here's something for you guys too, if you're watching this and you're wondering about this. This could go, I guess, for any part on the truck. My cousin, like I said, he worked at Peterbilt, the TLG Peterbilt in Cincinnati. In fact, he worked on this truck a couple of times. He even worked on this truck a couple of times before I bought it. Like while I was at the dealer being served, like while I was there for sale. But he did some stuff to it, ironically, to get it ready for me without knowing that I was buying it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. He gave me the part numbers for everything I got. And, you know, he was able to look them up. Well, he was at work up there in Alaska. Jealous as hell, by the way, about that, being in Alaska. So he gave me those part numbers, right? He gave me the part number for that sensor. Well, he hadn't gotten it to me yet, and I was in a hurry because I had that D-rate wrench light on my dash, and I looked up the code, and it was at the beginning stage of a D-rate. So I knew I couldn't wait anymore. I had to seek out the dealer, and I had to get the part. So I called up the dealer. I got it from the dealership in Utica, New York. Shout out to them. They're pretty cool. They had that part and everything I needed. And so I gave them the VIN number on my truck, right? I mean, how can that be wrong? How can you possibly source the wrong part via my VIN? I mean, it's the VIN number for the truck. It should have everything exactly as you're supposed to have on this truck, right? So I gave them the VIN. I got there. And by the time I got there, my cousin had sent me over the part number that he had. And the part number that he had didn't match the part number that they had on the box for the one that they had gotten off of my VIN. So they had the one in stock too for the part number that my cousin had. So they got that, brought it out to the counter, put them side by side. They were looking at them, and at first we couldn't see a difference. And then we noticed that the inlet and the outlet, I'll just call them nipples, inlet and outlet nipples, those long orangutan long kind of nipples on the sensor there where I showed you those red hoses went on. On the VIN, or on the one off of my VIN number, they were much smaller in diameter. I want to say they must have been like an 1/8 inch, at least the opening must have been like an 1/8 inch diameter. The one for the part number that my cousin gave me, they must have been like a, I don't know, 1/4 inch in diameter, the hole, something like that. It was roughly twice the size. Alright, so as I'm editing this video, this is future me coming to this video, my cousin sent me a message because I was telling him about the different size ports on the pressure sensor, and he explained it to me. He explained why that is. Apparently the earlier pressure sensor, halfway through the EPA 17, which is what mine is, the PACCAR EPA 17, halfway through that time that they made it, they revised the DPF pressure sensor to have larger inlet and outlet ports. So the larger one is the newer one, and mine had the larger one. The older one had the smaller one, and it's a 10 millimeter port versus a 12 millimeter port. The reason they did that was because, again, of the moisture that accumulates inside of these. They made the larger ported sensor so that, in hopes, it would extract the moisture better. So that's the whole reason. So the larger port is the better one. That's the newer one. So that's the backstory to why they were different sizes. Makes sense. So I didn't know which one was. I was like, you know what? They got it off the VIN. This has to be the right one. But I made sure, I'm like, can I go out there and bring it out there and compare it to the old one before I take the old one off, just to double check? They said, yeah, that's fine. So I took it out there after I paid $205 for it, for just the sensor. Took it out there, and they, sure enough, it was the wrong one. My cousin was right. Somehow the VIN number had given them the wrong information, apparently, for the sensor. Now, granted, the sensor would have worked, but I would have had to change the diameter of the hoses and all of that, and I just, why? No sense. Especially since the one that worked with that diameter of hose was cheaper anyway. So it just made more sense. And I don't know, to be honest, with a smaller diameter hose, I don't know if that would create too much back pressure. These are real finicky systems. I don't know if that would create enough of a difference in back pressure that would create issues. I don't know. I just don't know. So I wanted to put on exactly what the truck had. So I went ahead and got that one. Like I said, direct bolt off and bolt back on. Like I said, 8 millimeter bolts. Be careful with those bolts because they are, being down there with all that heat, they can kind of get to the point where they want to break. And then not to mention all the plastic around there. And like I said, I was in a hurry, so I couldn't give the truck a chance to cool down. I had to do it right then and there. Surprisingly, though, the DPF dissipates heat rather quickly because I did burn myself a few times, but I felt like it probably should have hurt more. So it wasn't as hot as I expected it to be. So that was a plus. But anyway, yeah, that's all that was. Like I said, I still have to do that garbage to the truck yet. But yeah, so that's what happened with the truck. That was the part that needed replaced. Again, it's called the DPF pressure sensor. And Yeah, they get water in there, and that's something my cousin said. He said they're very prone to accumulating moisture inside those sensors, because they will, well, condensation, more, specifically, condensation, because when you have these, especially this time of year, where it's very warm during the day and then cold at night, you have those drastic temperature fluctuations within just a few hours difference, and it builds up that condensation inside. And sure enough, when I took it off, there's a video I watched with a guy, I forget the channel, Fixing It with Ryan, or Ryan Fix It. I don't know. He was a truck driver with a Kenworth T660 for a while. He's from Northeast Ohio. He drove for Landstar. There's a trailer for Landstar right over there. He drove for Landstar. Had a silver T660 with a Cummins in it. Very, very knowledgeable guy. He now, in fact, doesn't drive anymore. He now owns his own shop. And I believe, he works on, all sorts of things on trucks, but he seems to really focus on the after treatment systems, from his, more common videos, more recent videos, since he's opened that shop. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I watched one of his videos where he had the DPF sensor go bad, and he took it off, and as soon as he took it off, water dripped out of those inlet and outlet nipples on the sensor. And there was some droplets of water on the ground there, and he knew right then and there that it was bad. It made him feel a lot better that was the part he was changing. Well, that happened to me. I took it off, and sure enough, water dripped out of those little nipples. And I'm like, I think I'm on the right track. So, I sent the picture of the water droplets on the ground to my cousin, and he just replied back. He goes, "Yep, that's bad." And I cleared the codes, and it hasn't come back since. By now, the check engine light would have come back, because I did clear it a couple of times, mainly because I didn't have time to get to a dealer. I was under a load, multiple loads, and I had loads lined up, so I didn't have time to get to the dealer. And that's why it eventually threw the D-rate warning, was because I threw it and I cleared the code too often. I was going to get the part fixed. I just didn't have the time. But it made sure, it said enough was enough, and it said, no, you got to get the part fixed right now, or I'm going to shut you down. So, so we got the part fixed. And luckily I had enough time to do it. And anyway, I took the sensor off, and sure enough, water was dripping out of those little nipple inlet outlet things on there, and put it back on. Like I said, no more light since then. And I'll show you the codes for what I got. It was weird. I'd have a code if I shut the truck off for a while, and then I turn the key on and let the truck do its thing, cycle through everything, all the systems and everything, and check. Then the check engine light would come on and then just stay on. It wouldn't go off like it's supposed to. And that was one code. And then you'd clear that, and then you drive down the road for a while, and then you'd get another code that was a very similar code. It was the same SPN number, but a different FMI. So it was a related code, and they both had to do with invalid readings from that sensor, essentially. So again, just kind of made it more certain that it was just a bad sensor, throwing sporadic readings of the computer. And when that happens with that sensor, it won't go into like an active regen, which is basically what it does when it's going down the road. Then it's going to ask you for regens more often. So we got her though. Like I said, now I'm not saying the check engine light won't come back on next time I turn the truck on, but odds are it's going to be for a whole entirely new issue, because we're made of money out here. So that's exactly what's going to happen. Yep. But anyways, guys, so yeah, on to last week. Last week, like I said, was just a real kind of a shit show. We had that issue with the original load, which we got off of there and all that good stuff. But by the time the load was off, everything was, the day was done. There were no loads to be taken after that. So I lost a day. But I'd found a load paying really well. And it was a TQL load. I'm not going to say that it was any or any ill intent on anybody's part of what happened. I really hope it wasn't. But you never know. Because they're brokers. However, there's a load on the load board that paid really well going from basically Ames, Iowa to, I want to say, New Jersey. And it was paying almost $3 a mile to go, over 1,000 miles. So you can do the math. So, I found that on the TQL app. So it wasn't like I was worried about it being double brokered or anything like that, or somebody scamming or whatever. So I found the TQL app. I called about it. And they had it. I booked it. The problem was, it was 350 miles away from where I was. And I don't have a problem deadheading when it pays well like that. And there was really nothing else on the board even the following day. I mean, the board was dead. Anybody that runs the load board right now, reefer, drive-in, maybe flatbed too, the freight volumes out here are sickening low. I mean, they are crazy, crazy low right now. You can be in what is normally a hot market, a hot area, and you just can't find anything. And loads that are only going like 200 miles, you're lucky if they're even paying $2 a mile right now. So it's crazy. Like, even the short runs aren't paying right now, if you can even find one. So anyway, I took that load because it just wasn't much options other than that. So I drove 320 of that 350 miles. And I'd even told the broker, like, I didn't even try to negotiate the deal. To me, it was a fair enough rate. No, actually, I lied. I did kind of say, I did ask him if there's any better he could do on that. And he said he was firm. And I stuck it at that. I said, you know what? That's fine. Can't blame a guy for trying. So, but I knew it was a pretty fair rate. And, when you call on a load, you can't expect them to compensate you for your deadhead. If they call you because you post your truck, they know where your truck is, and they still call you, then you have the upper hand to require that they pay for your deadhead. But when you call them, you can't expect them to pay for your deadhead. That's not really how it works. So I deadheaded 320 miles. I was unsure. I couldn't get a hold of anybody there, and there were no reviews on the place I was going to pick up, and I just could not tell. Even looking at Google Maps, I could not tell if it would be acceptable for me to park there overnight. So I drove up to the last 30 miles to that truck stop where I was at when I made the video, when I ended it, and I shut her down there 30 miles away. So I drove 320 miles, a half of a day of driving. Broker calls me the next morning as I'm in the back making my coffee. I'd already made my coffee. I was ready to start the day, man. I was ready to roll, buddy. Ready to go. Calls me and he goes, "Hey, Corey, I got some bad news." Bad news? How could there possibly be bad news when I'm on my way to go pick up a $3 a mile load on 1,000 miles? What could possibly be bad? What's bad news? The load canceled. They're pushing it out to next week. Say what? I just deadheaded 320 miles already to come get this load, and it's canceled? And you're just now telling me that you're okay, it's canceled. And then the broker said something that surprised me. He goes, "I know you drove all that way to get there, so we're going to go ahead and give you a tow new." Which he didn't do anyway. Even though he said he was going to, I never received a tow new. And here's why that's a pain in the ass. A tow new, by the way, for people that aren't a truck driver or that don't deal with the brokers, it's called a truck ordered, not used. Typically, a tow new only goes into effect if you make it all the way to the customer, all the way to the shipper, and then you find out that the load's canceled. Then they pay you a tow new. 99.999999999% of the time, if the load gets canceled before you ever set a tire on the property, they don't pay you tow new. And that's just the industry standard, man. That's how they fuck you out here. That's one of the ways they fuck you out here. Is there's all sorts of ways around paying the driver. All sorts of ways around it. Or the carrier, whoever. There's so many ways around paying the carrier or the driver for work that you lined up for them to do. So anyways, he said he'd pay me the tow new. And right when he said that, I got an email notification from TQL. So I thought, wow, great, that was fast. He's already sent me a tow new. Okay. So I didn't even question it. Well, I go back, we get off the phone. I go into the email and I'm looking. It wasn't a tow new. It was a damn survey asking how I enjoyed my experience with TQL. I'm like, I'm not saying he sent that to me and lied, but they never sent me a tow new. They never sent me a tow new. And because I was never on the property, I never got there, I really had no ground to stand on to argue with them about a tow new. So, not that a tow new would have made a bit of a difference anyway, considering I just deadheaded 320 miles. A tow new is typically $150, and like I said, 320 miles is half a day of work. Well, even in this market, I can still average about $1,000 a day without an issue. That's gross, by the way. I can still typically average about $1,000, sometimes more, a day. So you do the math. $150 for half a day of work is nothing. Just absolutely nothing. So anyway, we lost that load. So then the next load, I was able to find a load, but it picked up 150 miles away from where I was at that truck stop. And that load paid good per mile. It paid better it paid right around the same per mile. And it delivered the next day, in, I don't know where, somewhere out east. It like I said, it paid pretty good. That load went down without a hitch for the most part. It picked up, I guess I hit the power lock button by mistake. It picked up, at, Family Dollar, I think it was, or Dollar General. Yeah, it actually picked up at a Family Dollar distribution center, and then went to another Family Dollar distribution center. Oh, that's right, in Zanesville. Went to Zanesville, Ohio. Overnight, paid $1,500. So that wasn't bad for an overnight run, by today's market standards and a drive-in. So that was my biggest paying load of the week. So then, just some other things here and there went wrong throughout the week, just piddly stuff that it was just to the point where every little thing was adding up, And then like the last day when I send in I'll wait till Friday and I send in all of my loads to my factoring company. And something you've really got to be careful of when you send in paperwork, at least to my factoring company. My factoring company, I'm not sponsored, I don't have a link for them, but my factoring company is TAFS, which they are an affiliate or something to do with Trans Am Trucking, but instead of Trans Am Trucking, I believe it's Trans Am Factoring Service, TAFS. So anyway, that's who I use, and I sent in, I send in all my bills at the end of the week on Friday, and then I am paid for all of my week's work within a couple of hours, honestly. It's put in my account. But if something goes wrong, like they are very meticulous and they will somehow they comb through everything on these rate cons to make sure every little thing is accounted for. And if one little thing doesn't make sense to them, they kick it back to you, and they won't pay you until you fix it. And they did that with the load that I took to Zanesville, my best paying load of the week. They weren't going to pay me for it. So I got mad. And the whole reason they weren't going to pay me for it, and I don't know if other factoring companies do this, and I knew that Taft's does this because a buddy of mine, he used Taft's. And he warned me about this. And so I've always been very careful when I get my rate con. I always look for this before I send it in. But it was in a different spot on the rate con than I'm used to, and I overlooked it. The page number. If it says page 1 of any other number besides 1, and you only send in that one page, they won't pay you. It doesn't matter that one page is the master bill, and it has the receiver's signature and date and everything on there, and it's the proof of delivery. They will not pay you just because you didn't send, even if the second page is just a map of how they loaded the skids in your truck. Absolutely unnecessary. But they need it. It's just a way, again, to get around paying the driver. So, I had thrown that paper out because it was literally, for one thing, there was no other page other than the map that they gave me. Like it was a thing where they showed how they loaded the truck. That was it. No, there was no other bill, or there was no other page of the actual bill of lading. It's not like the receiver didn't give me the second page back or anything like that. I only got one paper from the shipper. That was it. As far as the bill of lading goes, that was it. So I was like, man, I am screwed. Because there is only one. It's not like I can call the receiver and say, hey, man, can you email me a copy of the second page? There was no second page. So I called Taft's, explained it to them. They're like, well, you're going to have to call the broker, and we'll send them an email. They got to reply to the email saying that what you have is accurate, and that's all they need, and then we'll pay you. I'm like, okay, great. So I called Uber. I called Uber, and I talked to them. I said, hey, they're going to send you an email. Can you please reply to the email and let them know what's going on? Uber said, nope, we can't do that. We don't reply to emails. They have to call us. I'm like, do you really think that a company as large as Taft's is going to drop everything they're doing and call you to confirm over the phone, take time out of their day to call you regarding a lonely little carrier such as myself with one truck? Do you really think they're going to do that? And then it dawned on me. There was another copy of that second bill, or of that second page that I had thrown out that was just a map of the loading sequence on the truck. There was a second page to that. I had forgotten about it. Luckily enough, the customer had taped a copy of it to the wall of the inside of my trailer. They never do that, but this one did. So I went back there and I grabbed it. Sure enough, it didn't say page 2 of 2. Didn't have any page numbers on it, but it had all the corresponding numbers on that page to go along with the bill of lading. So I was like, you know what? This is all I got. I'm going to resubmit it with that page, see if it works. It worked. I couldn't believe it. It actually worked. That was the page number 2 that they so desperately needed to pay me. So I couldn't believe it. So anyway, they paid me, and all was well with the world, I guess. But I'm like, come on, this is a little ridiculous, don't you think? You don't need that. That has nothing to do with the load, as far as you're concerned. So that's what they needed. And, I mean, I guess because they paid me, it was a page 2. I mean, it didn't say page, again, it didn't even say page 2 of 2. So, but again, it had all the corresponding shipment numbers. I guess that's why they did it. So anyways, that was that week. And then the following week, I got the check engine light. Oh, so anyway, and now I'm doing a 34 in the truck. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's really all that's been going on here lately. We are, like I said, it's been a crazy time on the spot market here lately. It's the worst I've ever seen it. Yes, I've been on and off the spot market since 2018. So maybe there were times when, during the periods that I wasn't on the spot market, that they were this bad. And from somebody that I heard from online, they haven't been this bad since COVID, since the beginning of COVID, when it was really bad. You know, like I was listening to a live from Cash is King, and he was talking about it with Fake Trucking, and they nailed they nailed it on the head, man. They were talking about how right now, I mean, the volumes are just unbelievably low right now. And I mean, like, so much so that, you know, like, I can get online, or I can get on one of my broker apps in an area where typically they'll have, you know, within a 200-mile radius, they'll have at the, you know, in the morning time for that day, 150 loads, easy 150 loads. You know, now it's like I got on one of my apps, and there were, like, by noon, there was literally 2 loads in a 200-mile radius. You know, and then another app I got on had 5 loads within a 300-mile radius. 3 of those 5 loads were going to California, paying $1 a mile from Pennsylvania. I mean, I get that the California lane from the east has never been good, but $1 a mile? No, that's, and then and on that same broker app here lately, I've seen loads going from Ohio to California for 55 cents a mile. And there's another load on one of my broker apps that I have ran before, very recently, and I got that, and he does this, like, it's on there like almost every day. I mean, they have these runs like multiples, like every day or every other day, and for the longest time, they were paying like, they were pushing it out there for $1,300 on about 380 miles, which is good. But then I'd, you know, email and say, hey, I can do it for 15, and he'd counter at 14, so I do it for 14. Well, now that same load is on the same broker app for $900. So it's come down like 35% in just a matter of a few weeks. And it's just, it's pretty painful. And, you know, it's hard to find a load anymore for more than, like, legitimately difficult for more than $2 a mile, if you're lucky. I mean, so many loads right now are $1.60 or $1.70, going places where just a few weeks ago, they're like $1, or they were like $2.50. You know, like going from like Ohio to Pennsylvania has always been a great lane. Indiana to Pennsylvania, great lanes. Those were always great ways to get $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 for a one-day run. Now they're barely pushing $2 a mile. Loads going from Pennsylvania to Florida. I was doing those for a while, running that lane, getting $230, $240 a mile, which still isn't that much to go into Florida, in my opinion, but it was decent. Talking $2,500, you know, for the gross for a day and a half to 2-day run. And now they're pushing some of those lanes for $1.70 to $1.80 a mile to go to Florida. That's not much better than you would expect to come out of Florida. And, you know, but before, you know, like I said in one of my short videos on Instagram, the loads going from the good areas to the bad areas are now paying what the loads were paying going from the bad areas back to the good areas. It's all topsy-turvy, you know, and then of course now the loads going from the bad areas to the good areas are paying even less. But yet everything else out here is skyrocketing in price. Everything. Fuel's coming down a little bit. Fuel's kind of it's kind of going up and down. It's pretty miserable out here right now as far as keeping a business afloat. I picked a great time to get my authority, I'll tell you. Anyways, guys, that's really all there is to it. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. It's not always, well, here lately it's never really been great, but it's definitely not always sunshine and rainbows out here. Right now you've really got to work. You know, I grossed this week. I grossed like I said before, I'm not really into giving my numbers as much, but I'm just doing this just for examples so that you guys know about if you really plan hard. I grossed this past week right around $6,000. That's before fuel comes out. That's before my expenses come out. $6,000. And I was running, man. I was running. I was stacking loads. I was running. Pretty much all week I had to split brake. All week. I would do a 8 and then a 2 and then an 8 and then a 2. Did that all week just to make everything work. Grossed $6,000. Yeah, it's kind of tough right now, you know, but we're like I said, you just kind of got to do what you can do and hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So anyways, y'all, that's how it was. That's how it's been. That's the realistic side to what's happening out here right now. But anyways, guys, hope you all have a good one out there and be safe, and hope you guys continue surviving. There ain't no thriving right now. Don't care what you do. But anyways, y'all have a good one out there. Stay safe. We'll talk to you guys all in the next video.